At the start of the movie, a high schooler named Ayaki wakes up next to a handsome boy named Yosuke and 10 other students in an unfamiliar house. It turns out that they have been kidnapped by a mysterious organization. As the teens try to wrap their heads around their surroundings, the TV in the room turns on and tells them that they must play a dangerous werewolf game. It is a slaughtering game that lets the players kill each other. Some of the teens suggest running away, but they learn that the kidnapper has put on an irremovable collar around each of their necks, which can strangle them to death should they break the rules or resist to play. After everyone comes to terms with the situation, the TV starts announcing the rules of the game. The students will be divided into teams, with the first one being the werewolves. 3 students will be chosen as the werewolves, and their job is to finish off the rest of the group. Then there are 8 villagers. Their only job is to find the werewolves and kill them via a voting system. Lastly, there is one fox who has to conceal their identity at all costs. By the end of the game, if the fox survives, all the other students will die automatically. Hence, the only way for the fox to win is by gaining others' trust and staying out of trouble. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., the villagers must stay in their rooms while the 3 werewolves can roam around the house and choose one villager to kill. But if they cannot kill someone, all 3 werewolves will die. Among the villagers, there are 3 special cards: 1 bouncer, 1 prophet, and 1 medium. The prophet can pick someone each night and discover if that person is a villager or a werewolf. The bouncer can protect one person each night from a werewolf attack, but not themselves. Every night before 8 p.m., all players must vote for a person who they think is a werewolf. The person with the highest number of votes will have to die, and after the person's death, the medium can see if the dead player was a village or a werewolf. But if the players fail to vote before 8 p.m., they will all die. If all 3 werewolves are killed, the villagers win, but if the number of villagers and werewolves becomes equal, the werewolves win. If the fox is still alive at the time when the villagers exterminate all the werewolves, or when the number of villagers and werewolves become equal, the fox will become the sole winner. But if the prophet detects the fox, that latter will die instantly. The winners of the game will receive a cash prize of $1 million. They should all get $1 million for having to sit through all those rules. After the instructions are over, everyone is given their cards, and Ayaki is revealed to be the fox. In the washroom, Ayaki's classmate, Ozawa, tries to talk to her about a game, but strangely, Ayaki is fixated on a crush she has developed on Yosuke, one of the boys in the game. Later, the players introduce themselves to each other. Given the prophet's power to detect the werewolf, Riki, the oldest member of the group, urges the prophet to come forward so that the bouncer can protect him or her. However, 4 people, including the fox Ayaki, claim to be the prophet. Failing to reach a conclusion, the players return to their respective rooms. Shortly after, some of the players venture outside and try to find a way to escape, but sadly, a board clearly mentions that if they cross the forbidden lines, the collar on their necks will strangle them to death. Hence, the students reluctantly return inside the house. Ayaki goes to Yuki's room, and it's revealed that the 2 girls have played the werewolf game before, and knowing that they can't trust each other in this hostile environment, they lie about their identities. At night, the players gather at the main hall to vote, but even after 10 minutes of staring, they don't utter a word. So, with time running out, a smart guy named Shigemoto breaks the silence and votes for Kodai, the most talkative and arrogant member of the group. He mentions that ever since they arrived here, Kodai has been acting very bullyish, something which a werewolf would do, or maybe a dickhead. Panicked, Kodai gets up from his seat and reveals that he is actually the bouncer, but no one believes him. Instead, almost all of them vote for him as the clock hits 8. Suddenly, the collar around Kodai's neck tightens, and he dies a gruesome death, much to everyone's horror. When the clock passes 10 p.m., Yuki ventures out of her room in search of a weapon, revealing that she is one of the werewolves. As she waits in the kitchen, she is soon joined by the second werewolf, Kentaru. The 2 immediately get talking, and here, it is revealed that they both have also played the game before. 30 minutes pass by, but the 3rd werewolf doesn't show up, so Yuki and Kentaru decide to go on the hunt by themselves. They initially think of killing the fox, Ayaki, but end up choosing Shigemoto, as he is a smart guy who can easily manipulate others. This became evident when he orchestrated Kodai's death. Kentaru, claiming that he is nervous, hands the knife to Yuki and tells her to get the job done. She obliges, but when the werewolves barge inside the room, Shigemoto jumps out of his bed and puts up a fight, but suddenly his collar strangely tightens, causing him to fall on the ground, unconscious. Nevertheless, Yuki grabs a chair and smashes Shigemoto's head, giving him a quick death. The next day, the remaining students discover Shigemoto's dead body and gather to decide their next move. Suddenly, one of the nerdy students, Joe, comes running down. He claims to be the prophet and proceeds to tell the role he discovered last night. However, the senior-most member, Riki, tells him to wait wait and asks all the self-proclaimed prophets, Ayaki, Joe, and Kentaro, to share their information at the exact same time to see if there are any contradictions that would help find out who might be lying. Ayaki claims that her crush Yosuke is a villager, while the werewolf Kentaro points at a silent girl, Miyari, and claims that she is a villager. But on the contrary, the nerd, Joe, explains that he checked Shigemoto's identity last night and found out that he was the fox. He claims that as the rule states, if a prophet discovers the role of the fox, then whoever has the fox card will die. And since Shigemoto died yesterday, it indicates that Joe is telling the truth and that he is the real prophet. However, nobody believes him, and Riki counter-questions by asking that if Shigemoto was killed by the prophet, then who did the werewolves attack last night? This catches Joe off guard, and he quickly changes the subject by accusing the other two prophets of being werewolves. Sadly, this only backfires on him, as the cunning Kentaro accuses him of changing identities because he is one of the werewolves. That night, the second voting session begins, and the silent girl Miyari speaks for the first time. She suggests that they shouldn't vote to execute any of the self-proclaimed prophets yet, because they don't know who's telling the truth, and if they make another prediction, the group might be able to find out who's a werewolf. It makes sense, but the girl has an ulterior motive. Since the self-proclaimed prophets claimed that she and Yosuke are both villagers, they should have immunity from the voting tonight. The players agree with her logic and decide to find someone else to vote on. Ayaki uses this opportunity to take revenge against Anna, a girl who was seen flirting with her crush, Yosuke. Ayaki tells everyone that she's suspicious of Anna here because she's been quiet for the whole game. This terrifies Anna, and she explains that she's only being quiet because she's trying to understand the game. Yosuke also comes to her defense, saying he should also be suspected for being quiet, but Ayaki points out she's already revealed him as a villager. Sadly, with time running out, all the students turn on Anna, causing her to die a painful death. At midnight, the werewolves meet up in the kitchen again. Yuki and Kentaro are worried that the third werewolf still hasn't shown up, and they wonder if Anna was the other wolf. The two wolves then decide to make Riki their next target. They choose him as he is the wisest among everyone, and has started riling up the other students as of late. Soon, the werewolves break into his door, prompting the frightened Riki to escape out of his window. Sadly, he crosses the forbidden line, because of which his collar activates and instantly kills him. The werewolves are about to head back to their rooms when Yuki comes up with an idea to find the third wolf. She suggests testing the locks of every room, as only the werewolves' doors open at night. She checks all the doors and finds them all locked. Kentaro checks the last door and finds it open, but he lies to Yuki that it is locked too, claiming that the third wolf must have already died. The next day, the students find Riki's corpse, and they gather around to discuss their next move. There, Kentaro tells everyone that last night, as the prophet, he discovered that Ayaka is the werewolf. This catches Ayaka by surprise, and she scrambles to defend herself. When Kentaro continues to press her for a confession, she changes her story and claims that she was actually the medium all along. She explains that she thought the bouncer wouldn't protect the medium, so she pretended to be the prophet to survive. However, even Ayaka's crush is skeptical of her, and he thinks the real medium might have died already. But surprisingly, the nerd Joe strongly believes that with 8 players left, the medium is still more likely to be alive. He then goes on to claim that as the prophet, he discovered that Yuki is the real werewolf, much to her surprise. Yuki insists she's innocent and quickly shifts the accusation towards Ayaka. With no perfect strategy to bring out the werewolves, the group agrees to a plan. That night, they will tie up all the suspects to their bed and lock them in their rooms until morning. If someone still dies, it means that there's another werewolf. Kentaro panics, and he argues that it's not a good idea because the villagers won't be able to defend themselves against the wolves. However, his arguments make him look guilty, and the suspects are forced to accept the deal. After a while, at the voting session, Kentaro tries to convince everyone that the real medium is dead, and Ayaka is the werewolf. Yosuke agrees with him, as Ayaka has already lied about being the prophet. Soon, things get out of control, and Joe confronts Kentaro for accusing him of being a phony prophet. With everyone distracted, the clock strikes 8, and everyone's collar starts to tighten around their necks, causing them to slowly suffocate. Left with no choice, they all quickly vote, selecting the most unpopular player at the moment, Kentaro. Everyone's collar finally loosens up, except for Kentaro, who dies a painful death. That night, Yuki, Ayaka, and her friend Ozawa are tied up in their respective beds. Now, with Kentaro gone, Yuki has to take charge and kill someone, or else all the werewolves will automatically die out. As she struggles to untie herself, she finds a knife under her pillow, left by the third wolf, who apparently is still alive. She uses it to free herself and storms into Ozawa's room. Yuki looks for any weapons in her room, but when she doesn't find any, she becomes sure that Ozawa is just a villager. However, since the poor girl already knows too much, she has to be silent. silenced, Yuki brutally finishes her off, but in the process ends up getting a massive cut on her face. Scared, she immediately goes to the washroom to recuperate. As she is washing the blood off her face, she realizes that the other players will surely find out that she is the wolf because of her wound. Suddenly, someone walks in. It's the third werewolf. The next morning, Ayaka and the others learn that Ozawa lost her life, leaving only 6 people now. Yuki also arrives, and everyone notices the massive cut on her cheek. Left with no choice, she admits that she's a werewolf. Oh, come on, she could have done better than that. However, to save herself, she also claims to be the last werewolf and that the fox is still alive. Now, if the other participants decide to vote her out, the fox will automatically win, resulting in everyone's deaths. Once again, Joe claims that he killed the fox, Shigemoto, using his prophet abilities, but Yuki knows that he's lying since he was the one who killed Shigemoto. Later that day, Yuki confronts Ayaka and accuses her of being a fox. With no way out of the situation, Ayaka finally admits that she lied about being a medium, and as the two girls are discussing, Miyari shows up, revealing that she's the third werewolf. She reveals that she had been hiding all this time on the advice of Kentaro. It turns out that even Miyari has played this game before, along with Kentaro and Yosuke. She then confidently claims that Yosuke will take her side when she tells him that Ayaka is the fox. Now, with the 2 werewolves and Yosuke voting against her, Ayaka has absolutely no chance of surviving. Despite the odds against her, she goes to the roof to convince her crush, Yosuke. She asks him if there's anyone in this game that he cares for. Yosuke replies that Miyari is a close friend of his, completely oblivious to the fact that she is one of the wolves. Ayaka once again inquires if he would believe her if she tells him that Miyari is the wolf, to which Yosuke says no. Hearing this, Ayaka realizes there's nothing she can do to change his mind, and leaves with her heart broken. When she returns to the building, she is surprised to see Yuki waiting for her. In a shocking turn of events, Yuki reveals that she wants Ayaka to win the game. She says that she can't continue living after slaughtering so many innocent friends in this game. Ayaka is still left in disbelief, but nonetheless, she promises that she will never give up. That night, everyone gathers for the final vote. Ayaka continues to pretend to be the medium and accuses a girl named Saiki of being the fox because Joe is believed to be the prophet, and Yosuke is believed to be a villager. The group then casts their final vote. 2 people vote for Ayaka, 1 votes for Yuki, and 3 people vote for Saiki, the villager. It turns out Yuki stood by her words and voted for Saiki instead of Ayaka, which saved the latter's life. Now, with Saiki dead, the number of villagers and werewolves equal at 2 each. As per the rules, the werewolves should be victorious, but since the fox is still alive, Ayaka wins it. Suddenly, the TV turns on, telling them that the fox has survived and has won, and in the blink of an eye, everyone's collars start to tighten. Ayaka can only watch as her friends die right before her eyes. Finally, after days of terror, she has won the game, and also $1 million. The movie ends as Ayaka takes her collar off and burns her fox card. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.